In Sanskrit we call it Nitya Nirantara Sukha. It's actually Sukha, comfort, happiness, delight and ecstasy of an incessant, unbroken nature. Now this is the subject of discussion of the 11th skandha, the Mukti-skandham of Sreemad Bhagavatam. I branched off from the chapter 5, verse number 33. Dheyam sada paribhavagnam abhishtadoham. That one word is what I want every one of you to grasp. Keep it as a great capital, as a great gift and a blessing for you. Whenever you talk to your children, married partners, when you talk between them, yourselves, you must always bring in this word. The Supreme Lord Hari is one, Abhishtadoha. What does it mean? Whatever genuine desire is there in your mind, in order that your life will flower forth, will blossom, and you will attain fulfillment, that desire will be fulfilled. Now, we were discussing the story of Dhruva, in which we found a 5-year-old child was completely disowned, spurned, and ridiculed in the palace. You can imagine the torment and the torture the young boy suffered from. Normally, there is no salvation at all. When he went to the mother also says, I have no respect for myself, my dear son. When are you going to get it and where? So the only way I can suggest for you is to go to the dense forest and offer yourselves completely in austerity, she said. The mother had no qualms in making such a confession and such an exhortation. And the boy literally 100% wholesomely followed it, and see what happened. We find an altogether new palace. Everything is comfortable there. Ultimately, Uttanapada leaves the palace, crowning not Uttama, but Dhruva himself. And Uttama and his mother, Suriji, both of them lose themselves in the forest. See how destiny works. The blessings of God are always inscrutable. You cannot predict anything about it. So this Abhishta Dohatva of the Lord whom you are devoted to, this is a point I would like every one of you to understand. I am reminded of what Vedavyasa says towards the end of his beautiful composition called Mahabharatam. You know what he says? Urdhva bahur viraumyesha nahi kaschit shranoti me dharmat arthascha kamascha so dharmaha kim na sevyate. He is actually crying aloud in distress, with a lot of fondness on the one hand, sympathy on the other, and feeling a sense of distress in his mind. What is the distress? Urdhva bahu viraumyesha nahi kaschit shranoti me. Nobody is paying heed to what I say. What is it? What is the message I want to communicate to them? Only to bring fulfillment to their life. Dharmad arthascha kamascha. Take to the practice and adherence to dharma. Dharma. Lead a righteous life. Be righteous in your mind, in your heart, in your thoughts, in your words, in your deeds, in your intelligence, in your thinking. This righteousness is so benedictory, so wholesome, so beautiful. It is just like sunlight. It lights up the whole surface of the earth. Of the earth, that is because the earth is round. Everything it illumines. In the same manner, this righteousness is such a beautiful process and a pursuit that it is an insurance for all forms and kinds of life. And if you practice dharma, adhere to it, you will find arthascha, kamascha. You will have all the wealth, all the prosperity, all the aishwarya that you seek. Not only that, all your desires will be fulfilled also. Dharma has got such a wonderful power, magnificent power, by virtue of which the desires of the heart will be fulfilled, and you will always have adequate resources for the purpose. Normally, 4 are the Purusharthas. What are they? Dharma is the first. The second is Artha, acquisition or procuring of ample monetary resources. Then rightly being able to utilize them, spend them in order to gratify your desires. Now these are the 3 Purusharthas, all leading to moksha, the ecstasy of the soul. Now Vedavyasa says, Don't think that the dharma is something hard and difficult. It is a wish-yielding tree, a kamadhenu for you. From dharma flows artha, equally flows kama, gratification of desires. Even then, being so, why is it that people are not listening to me and try to lead a path of righteousness? So, the whole of Mahabharata has only one message. What is that? Yato dharmaha, tato jayaha. Where there is dharma, there is victory. Victory, prosperity, fullness, abundance, everything. Tato jayaha. Yato krishnaha, tato jayaha. Wherever Krishna is and Krishna's fondness and blessings are, there is victory. Why I mentioned it? It is exactly here. The same idea and message is conveyed, but abhishtadohaha. Provided you have devotion to the Supreme Lord, understand the Lord is supreme. He is an all-knower. He is present everywhere. Omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. He is powerful and resourceful to fulfill everything that you want. Sreemad Bhagavatam in the opening verse itself has said, I have referred to it many times, I may still refer to it. Every one of you should know it. Janmadhyasya yato nvayaditaradaha chartheshvabhijnaswarat. Whatever the Supreme Lord wants to fulfill or achieve, automatically and irresistibly He will be able to do it, whatever be the obstacles. See, the whole palace was ranged against this boy. And when he came back, the whole palace is absolutely fond of him and he was crowned as the prince. This is how the blessings work. Abhishtadoham. Now I am not going to leave the subject. I would like to discuss some of the instances. By this you will also have an entry and an exposure with regard to some of the cardinal episodes of Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, Krishna was born in Mathura. But soon after his birth, almost immediately after revealing his wonderful form, he told his father, take me to Vrindavan and bring back the girl from there and put her in my place and let me grow there in Vrindavan, in the cowherd settlement, he said. So he went there. So Krishna's young age was completely spent in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, what was the talk? What was the mission? Their wealth was always cows. So along with the other cowherd boys, he also started becoming a cowherd boy, looking after the cows, etc. He had a simple bamboo flute, that is what he had. He was playing it. And he became a ringleader amongst the entire cowherd boys there. Initially he was a leader. Later on they started looking at him as God incarnate. A number of obstacles were there. A number of calamities were there. Several times they entered literally into the mouth of death. From all those calamities and accidents, Krishna saved them. So he became virtually not merely a leader, but also a protector, a safeguarding person. No human would be able to do it. So he was given a superhuman status, recognition and importance by all the people. Initially it was the boys who did it. Later on, Nandagopa and the elderly people also awarded Krishna the supreme lordhood, so to say. So he grew there. Now, in everything that passed there, Krishna's attitude and also the manner in which he treated the Vraja women, particularly the Vraja young girls, this is a very, very interesting episode. There you will find Rasalila actually appears there. It was all enacted when he was a little boy, not a grown-up man even. So, this is a very, very important episode. Now, I am going to say something about the relationship between Krishna and the Vraja women, particularly the Kumaris who prayed that he should be their common husband. On the face of it, you may be wondering as to why all this happened. I can only tell you, you should open the book of Srimad Bhagavatam and start reading it yourselves. I will try to provide a kind of an insight or an interest for you so that you will be moved further, inspired further and led further to read the book and understand matters in detail. That is the whole purpose of the telecast. Let us go back to the 7th skandha. Srimad Bhagavata speaks about how Shishupala was hateful of Krishna. Right from the childhood, he was always scolding, abusing, ridiculing, mocking Krishna. In the Rajasuya Yaga that was performed by Yudhishthira, Sahadeva suggested that Krishna should be chosen as the chief guest of honor. In their language they call it Agra Poojya. Somebody has to be selected from the assembly and he should be considered as the most premier person and he should be worshipped. So Sahadeva got up and said, Sri Krishna is the right person. Instantly you know what happened. The assembly accorded consent, but Shishupala became intolerant. He rose up and started showering abuses on the assembly and also Krishna himself. What is this assembly? Are you really wise? Is there nobody who knows the history of this boy? A cowherd boy? What right does he have to come into this assembly? And how is it that we select him for worship as the chief guest of honor? Is it not a disgrace for the assembly? Are we proving our worth? We are mocked at for this kind of a decision. And so many abuses he started showering. When it reached the pinnacle, Krishna kept quiet. When it reached the pinnacle, he immediately sent his chakra, that Sudarshana chakra. The head of Shishupala was cut. Then Narada goes on saying, when the head was cut, visibly in the presence of the entire assembly, a brilliance rose up from the heart of Shishupala. And it travelled through the sky and entered into Krishna. What? A brilliance visible. All people were looking at. And everybody was finding it. There was no dispute at all or doubt. A beautiful brilliance like a star rose from Shishupala's body, travelled through the sky and entered into Krishna's being. Yudhishthira was surprised. What is this? What is this? This Shishupala was always mocking, ridiculing, abusing Krishna. Actually, he should have got leprosy on his tongue as a punishment. Instead of that, this kind of an open merger with Lord Krishna, visibly in the presence of so many people. How is it? This appears to be a grave contradiction in my mind. Is it right? How is it possible? Is not God to be worshipped with fondness, with allegiance, with a sense of surrender, attunement, intimacy, etc.? Suppose anybody were to abuse God, will he ever get the reward of one who is humble before Lord and who is devoted to him? I am not able to understand this. Then he was explaining, my dear Yudhishthira, Lord has no such partial feelings towards anybody. The entire world is his creation. Shishupala also is one. If there is a Rama who is good and great, there is a Ravana on the other side who is bad and the worst. Both are equally parts and parcels of this creation. The entire world consists of contradictions. Pairs of opposites constitute the world. So there is nothing that is unacceptable to God. It is because of our partiality that we divide things and suffer in the process. In reality, there is nothing unacceptable at all. God makes no distinction. After all, the creation is His and He is sustaining everybody through the life forces. Everything is sustained by Him. Wickedness also comes within His range. Virtue also is same within His range. Virtue and vice both together constitute the world. For every summer there will be a winter and there will be a rainy season. For every incline there is a decline. For every night there is a day. For a man there is a woman. Pairs of opposites constitute this world. So there is no differentiation at all. And so far as approaching God in the language of devotion, he says, no emotion is contrary to devotion. What did I say? No emotion is contrary to devotion. Every emotion is acceptable to the Lord. And he presents a beautiful proposition. I don't think you would have heard it. Yatha vahiranu martyas tanmayatamiyat na tatha bhakti yogena yati me nishchitamatihi. This is my considered opinion, says Narada. Yatha vairānubandhena martyas tanmayatam iyad. In the case of Shishupala, he had stark vaira, enmity towards Krishna. Right from the beginning, he was always waiting for an opportunity to somehow behead Krishna. Every time he was looking for an opportunity. So vaira was the attitude occupying, dominating in his mind towards Krishna. Now this vaira is a very powerful emotion. Because it's a powerful emotion, it overcomes all the rest and it becomes dominant in the mind. But who or what is the object of vaira, hatred here? Lord Krishna. Some people remember him with fondness. Some people remember him with jealousy and intolerance. Some people remember him with competition. Some people remember him passionately, as an object of love and romance. Like that, so many different types of emotion are there. The question is, what emotion you apply is immaterial. Yena kena prakarena matihi krishne niyojayet. The methodology or the manner may be anything. The mind should be focused on Krishna. That is the most important point. So in devotion, the devotee is very pious, very religious, very fond of Krishna. Here he was hateful of Krishna, inimical to Krishna. But the power in the inimical devotion is much more than in the pious religious fondness that a devotee has. So yatha, in which manner? Vairānubandhena. By the practice or pursuit of vaira, hatred and enmity, martyaha, the human, tanmayatam iyad, will attain identity with the object of hatred. So in which manner hatred or enmity will take the devotee to a merger with the Lord? In the same manner, na tatha bhakti yogena. Bhakti does not have that much of power and that much of swiftness in the matter of bringing about result. Bhakti is after all a humble, a feeble, a light emotion. It is a harmless emotion. Here it is very intense, powerful, sharply and piercingly so. Na tatha bhakti yogena idime nishchita matihi. Then he gives a very general statement. What is that? Gopya kamad bhayat kamsaha dveshat chaidyadayo nripaha sambandhat vrishnaya snehat yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. See? These are some of the great cardinals, fundamentals of Sreemad Bhagavatam. Not only that, our spiritual, religious, philosophical, yogic culture. These are the essences of this culture. Gopya kamad. He illustrates this principle by presenting so many characters. Gopya, the Vraja women, kamad, by virtue of their passionate clinging to Krishna. All the Vraja women we are speaking about were very much fond of Krishna, but there was a lot of romance, or perhaps only romance, in their feelings. So their emotion towards God was one of sexual passion. Gopya kamat bhayat kamsaha. Krishna's own uncle, right from the time he heard that impersonal voice, he was always afraid of Krishna. This ghost of Krishna will come and possess me at any time in my life. This was the feeling he had. So, bhayat kamsaha. In the case of Kamsa, his attachment or attunement or linkage with Krishna was through bhaya, that means fear. Dveshad chaidyadayo nripaha. Kings like Shishupala and the rest, they had dvesha, hatred and enmity towards him. They were wanting an opportunity to fight him, vanquish him at any time. That was their attitude. Sambandhad vrishnaya. Take for instance the entire Vrishnikula, the entire Yadava Vamsha. For them it is one of relationship. For Vasudeva he is a son. For Nandagopa he is a foster son. For so many people he is a relative. Sambandhat Vrishnaya Snehad Yuyam. Viewers, are you listening to me? Snehad Yuyam. Yudhishthira, for people like you, kings, monarchs, you are educated, you are qualified, you have a lot of strength, you have a lot of esteem from the world. So your attitude is one of fondness for Krishna. Krishna had a lot of regard for Yudhishthira. He used to consider Yudhishthira as an elder brother. When Yudhishthira was proposing to him, somehow I want to avoid the bloodshed, Krishna. Is there any possibility for us to enter into a pact with Duryodhana? Somehow we should bring about a pact. My mind is not reconciling to the prospect of having to shed so much of blood. Why this war? Bloody war. We should avoid it. So I would like somebody to go there as an ambassador and talk to Duryodhana in terms of a peaceful pact. Whom can I think of sending? I would like somebody to go. And Yudhishthira said that, I personally would like you to go, Krishna, and talk to him as my representative. Will you undertake this mission? Krishna said, my dear brother, whatever you want, I shall do. I know very clearly that Duryodhana is such a wicked man. He has no respect for whatever he does. He has no respect for the society, and he has no regard for dharma also. The words of Krishna are this: Sahi dharmam cha lokam cha tyaktva charati durmatihi. He is of wicked resolve, having no regard, no respect, no place for dharma as well as the society. What will people think of me? This consideration is not in him. What will dharma assess me as? That also he does not have. Tyaktva charati durmatihi. And by being so wicked, so vicious, nacha sandapyadetena tatharupena karmana. He is not the least affected or assaulted by this kind of an irregular and wicked behavior. Such a man, is he going to pay heed to me when I go? Nevertheless, I shall go. I shall go. So he asked Daruga to yoke the best of horses, to fill his quiver with the most sharp and pronounced arrows. And he decided to go. Because Yudhishthira said, though you agree to go as an ambassador for me to Duryodhana, I am afraid whether some harm will come to you. Then Krishna says, harm to me? Certainly not, you need not fear. As long as I am alive, if I get into a mood of anger, the whole earth will start shuddering before me. Then he said, Daruga, tie the best of horses and give me the best of arrows. And he went. Why I mentioned it? Only to show what was the relationship between Yudhishthira and Krishna. Krishna was being sent as an ambassador of Yudhishthira to Duryodhana. So that kind of a sneha was there. Bhaktya vayam vibho. People, enlightened people, maharshis and ascetics like us, we have got bhakti. What is this bhakti? It comes to you when the ego is effaced. Your whole mind becomes absolutely free of ego. When the mind becomes completely free of ego, God alone is seated in that mind. That last veil of separation will be completely pulled. That will be removed. Gopya kamat bhayat kamsaha dveshat chaidyadayo nripaha sambandhat vishnaya snehat yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. These two verses are from the 7th skandha, chapter 1, 26 and 30. I said that Gopikas had passionate fondness for Krishna, and they sought fulfillment of that. Don't think of anything else. The sight of Krishna, the thought of Krishna, the memory of Krishna, the proximity of Krishna, in all of them, they felt a romantic undercurrent in them. And they were never prepared to conceal or say anything. We don't want it to be replaced. It's a natural feeling we have. Krishna has to be an abhishta doha, as I said. Whoever approaches him in whichever manner and for whatever purpose, he cannot obstruct them or resent them. He has to fulfill them. And in fulfilling, he made sure that everybody was purified and awarded the right spiritual fulfillment.